Good. Hi, Reese. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
good, good. I just wanted to make sure everything was good and you could hear us and all that good stuff.
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, great. Thanks, Jackie.
Good evening, everybody. I will call the regular council meeting of August 13th to order at 5:30 p.m. And as we start our meeting, we acknowledge that we are in the traditional territory of the Latso First Nation within the area of Treaty 3, and that many of the people and communities we service are in Treaties 5 and 9. Silicate in the original Indigenous matter was called Wananangang, the Bay of Sandy Beaches. And with that, I will ask the CAO to start us off with a special event.
Terrific. Thank you, Mayor Lawrence. This evening, it's my pleasure to administer, I guess, the declaration of office to Sioux newest councillor. I think it'll be okay. Maybe Doug, if you could turn yours off just
Absolutely.
in case, there we go. That may help a bit. Okay. Ms. Darlene Ishkanev, if you would mind coming up, and I can administer the oath. So if you can repeat after me. I, Darlene Ishkanev,
I, Darlene Nanchkanev,
having been elected or appointed to the office of Councillor at Large
having been elected or appointed to the office of Councillor at Large
in the municipality of Sioux,
in the municipality of Sioux,
do solemnly promise and declare that
do solemnly promise and declare that
I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or improper manner.
I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I identify as an Indigenous person, and I assert that making the declaration of allegiance to His Majesty the King Charles III would be inconsistent with my views regarding the relationship between the Crown and Indigenous peoples.
I identify as an Indigenous person, and I assert that making the declaration of allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III would be inconsistent with my views regarding the relationship between the Crown and Indigenous peoples.
And I make this solemn promise and declaration, conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Thank you. Welcome and congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you, and welcome on behalf of Council Darlene to council. We made the decision not to have a by-election. It was late in the term. By the time we had a by-election, it would be perhaps a new council would have had 10 meetings before we all became lame ducks and decided to go to an appointment. And your appointment was unanimous. And when we look at it, you have been engaged with the municipality for, to my knowledge, ever since I've been mayor. You were a member of the TRC starting in January 2016, became the chair of the TRC, which you still are, and then the Police Services Board for I think 6 years now. You're the chair of the Police Services Board. But more than that, you had run for election and garnered hundreds of votes, and like others who have run, you didn't quite get in. But that was back in 2018, I think. And unlike many who run for election and don't get in, they seem to disappear. Not all, but you didn't. You have remained engaged. So you stood out as clearly above the throng that you were engaged in the municipality, and we're happy to have that engagement at this council table. So welcome.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions, save them till later. I think it's a good group you had at the council table, and I hope you enjoyed the engagement. All right, with that, any amendments to the agenda?
Through Mayor Lawrence, I have none.
So I would ask for a motion that the agenda for the regular council meeting of August 13th, 2025 be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Cassidy, seconded by Councillor Timpson. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Declarations of pecuniary interest.
Through Mayor Lawrence, I have none.
Thank you. And we have minutes to adopt, that the minutes of the June 18th, 2025 and July 16th, 2025 regular council meetings, June 18th, 2025 public hearing meeting, July 16th, 2025 statutory public meeting, and July 16th, 2025 special council meeting minutes be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Lego, seconded by Councillor Timpson. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And determination of items requiring separate discussion. Staff report 7.1 NOHFC internship application, community safety and well-being coordinator intern. Councillor Timpson. Item 7.2 NOHFC intern application, operational data insights intern. Council. 7.3 Rural Ontario Development Program application, sector-based housing needs assessment for workforce development and retention. Oh, sorry, Councillor Costco. Yes. 7.4 Hillcrest Land Sale Block A Lot 1. 7.5 Hillcrest Land Sale Block C. We'll do it. So what I have is seven listed items are 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3. So a motion to adopt the items not reporting separate discussion in 7.4 and 7.5. Moved by Councillor Cassidy, seconded by Councillor Costello. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 7, no, we have delegations first. Thank you. We do have a delegation tonight. Laxville First Nation Utility Scale Solar Development Presentation. The presenters are Grace Russell from Jazz Senior Director, Project Development. And you, staff has helped you. You can step up, welcome, and we look forward to your presentation.
Yes. So thank you, Honorable Mayor and councilors for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm here with David Gordon, who's from the Laxville First Nation community. He's the Director of Capital Projects, and I work closely with him on a number of projects already occurring within the community. So this is in regards to a large scale utility project, solar project that the community would like to be developing. I'm going to walk you through the program that they're applying for with the Ontario government. Give you a little background on that, and then where the project's located and some high level information about the project. So this works. So the first one is just a quick introduction to myself. I work for Jazz Solar Solutions, who was founded in 2010 by our founder. He's in Ottawa. We all work remotely, but we currently work for about 12 First Nations across Ontario, supporting them on their renewable energy needs. So there's quite a bit of capacity building, mostly funded through the IESO, which is the Independent Energy System Operator. And we teach about solar installation, design, development, maintenance, and operations. We do EV chargers, battery storage, mainly focused on doing community-based projects. So whether it's on band buildings, some of the communities have chosen to do it on residential, but we have a whole operations team that has supported many communities across Ontario, including Laxville First Nation. So our team just supported on building a 30 kilowatt net metering system on one of their community centers in Whitefish Bay, and did a capacity training session over the last probably 12 months of developing some skills within the community, mainly specifically on how to install. Because if you learn how to install, you can also learn how to maintain a system and be more self-sustainable within your community. I've been with Jazz for over 18 months now, but have 15 years of experience in the renewable energy, mostly around developing large-scale renewable projects across Ontario, the US, Caribbean, and Japan, and have been doing that for quite some time now. And my role is to, if a community is showing interest in working with a new project or pursuing larger projects, my role is to come alongside and help them figure out what's going to work. We truly believe in an Indigenous-led project, so majority owned, majority controlled by the community, where my role is more of a supporting role to support. And so Laxville has in the midst of just purchasing some land. You, I think, all know it by the Hudson Mill sawmill land. And they're in the process of purchasing that and looking at how do they utilize the land. And renewable energy, specifically a solar project, came onto the table, and we have been supporting on looking at what that opportunity is for them. So we're talking about a large scale transmission connected project, not a distribution connected project. So that's a really critical item to understand. It's connected to Hydro One's transmission grid and fed into that. And then Hydro One distributes at its distribution stations and transmission stations. And then it would flow to like a utility like Sioux Lookout Hydro. But it is not, it's connected directly to the transmission, because the program that the community is applying under is something called LT2 procurement. IESO is doing a massive procurement over the next 4 years. Background is they have discovered in the last 3 years that there is going to be a shortfall of energy in Ontario, both on capacity, so storing energy, but also generation. And they have created a program where they're going out and doing mass transmission connected projects of technology agnostic. So you could literally put a coal plant up if you really wanted to, but good luck permitting it. But you could. Primarily, you're going to see a lot of generation around wind, solar. There's another stream for hydro that they've completely created because it has a longer term development period. But it's technology agnostic and there's no benefit or priority points given to solar or wind or any renewables. However, we do believe it's a competitive source of energy, and also it fits nicely into LACSOL's goals for reducing emissions. And I mean, they're already facilitating quite some large projects in their community for net metering, seeing the value in renewable energy. So just high level, LT2 has 4 rounds. There's 4 windows, the first one being this fall. And then there will be 3 more subsequent windows where people bid in their project, and there's different criteria you have to meet. And then there's also like priority points given to projects that meet certain conditions. It is based on bid. So the Ontario government is trying to drive the cost of generation down as much as possible. And so hence it's a bid price that developers put in, and lowest price wins after you meet certain conditions. Do you want me to pause for questions in between, or how formal are you guys?
Where are you now in the presentation? You're,
I'm at the beginning, but it's not long. It's not long. It's quick.
if you're willing to take questions?
Yeah, I can take questions on the LT2 program because that's the core of what they're applying for.
Simpson.
Yeah, that's a project that was put in about maybe 10 years ago or so. Households were doing it where they generate and then they sell back to the
Yeah,
go on.
you're referring to the feed-in tariff program.
Yeah.
The FIT program is sometimes.
And they get a discount on their hydro that they use. Is that how it worked?
That program, so that was removed in 2019, but it was a program where you could put solar on your roof, whether you're residential or commercial. To be honest, I built out many of that portfolio, and it was a fixed rate. The government set the rate of what you would receive, and you would receive a check in the mail from the local utility if you were accepted for the feed-in tariff program.
This is similar to that.
The only core difference I would say is that it's a bid process. So they're driving it and not a fixed rate that the government. So all the projects would have received the same rate versus this is you're bidding in, I think that I'm going to sell my energy at X amount per kilowatt hour.
And they sell the energy to back to hydro.
Hydro One would issue the check.
Okay.
It is managed, the contracts are managed through the IESO because the IESO does the procurement for all energy across Ontario.
Okay.
Good question. The feed-in tariff is, yeah, it's stuck in a lot of people's minds because it was a great program, but it was canceled in 2018. Any other questions?
The stage council? Go ahead.
Okay, so that's the background on LT2 and where this project is going to fit into and what the community is working towards right now. I hope I'm okay. It's not letting me. I just need to go to the next slide if that's okay.
We can help. Yep.
Okay. Did I go too far?
Just like the, oh, it's working.
It's very sensitive.
Oh, it is.
Delayed. Okay, so I kind of gave you a background of Jazz and the First Nation. I did talk to the LT2 objective procurement. They have hefty goals across the 4 years of procurement they're going to do. This year's timelines are application, the community puts an application in on October 16th. There is a bunch of prescribed forms and they put their bid price in at that point. They will not know if they have a contract award until April of 2026. That's the commitment. More than likely it gets pushed out. We've seen IESO push things out. And then you want to have the project up and running. So we call it COD, commercial operation date, by May 1st, 2030. They will have contract obligations to meet that deadline, or else there's penalties if you go past that deadline. There's incentives to be connected earlier and operating earlier, but the deadline is May 1st, 2030. Okay. And we talked about that there's multiple resources, and that they have to have it complete. If they applied for the project next year, the deadline for connecting the project just moves out a year. So they're staggering out the procurement in Ontario and the generation that's occurring. One of the core elements and the reason why we're here today is that part of the package that the community has to submit on October 16th is a municipal council resolution. A lot of municipality, and this is a significant change from the feed-in tariff days, where the Green Energy Act eliminated any requirement for a municipality to have to give a building permit or go through the planning board or zoning. The Green Energy Act eliminated that during the FIP days. That has since been, there's enough complaining, and rightfully so, that there should be municipal support and municipal involvement. So one of the requirements, because this project lies in the jurisdiction of Sioux Lookout, that there's a municipal council resolution required for the submit. And it's really showing support that the municipality is in support of the project. Okay. And then obviously some evidence of Indigenous support. The project ownership structure currently right now is sitting with 51% Lac Seul First Nation, so majority. And the key piece is also control. So the community has full control over the project. And then Jazz and its partners, so it has some financing partners, supports on the 49%. And I have a slide later that talks about the roles and responsibilities as well between the two. There's some examples of projects. Some of them personally I have built, some of them in Massachusetts, Ontario. And then I have a few projects in development in Ontario and the Caribbean right now. Our team, community engagement and facilitation is through the Lac Seul Energy Team. There's an energy team. There's something called a Community Energy Champion. And they have one of those at Lac Seul that helps manage the projects. Developed with myself and the founder. I have some transmission grid guru that's supporting us on the connection with Hydro One. And then I have several other support in the background in regards to financial and regulatory, all with decades of experience in regards to development of large scale projects. Well, thank you. So, this is the layout. So you can see that it's on the mainland. So this is a preliminary layout. It's on the mainland. It's not on the peninsula. And a key piece is that I'm going to take you back to your high school days, AC versus DC. It's a 60 megawatt AC connected project and more than likely a 75 to 80 megawatt DC project. So you're going to hear two different numbers when you talk about renewable energy. And that it will be on Lac Seul owned land. So they will lease the land to the project entity that's created to develop and construct and own the project ultimately. I think one key thing that when we spoke to Jody about was there's a cemetery on the east side there, and ensuring that there's a treed buffer between that cemetery and the solar project, which you can see in the layout, there's already something there, but that is not a problem whatsoever for that project. The connection point, I think, is also something to bring up really clear. You'll see that clear cut at the bottom corner. That's the 115 kV transmission line that the Hydro One owns and operates. And we would go through Crown land to connect the project at that transmission line. Okay. I mean, this is like the core, this is the element, everything. Is there any questions about this? Yes, Mayor.
I'm sure I'm pretty sure what your answer is going to be. This is all on the former land of the mill.
Correct.
So there's no sort of traditional use by Hudson residents of trails running through that area?
Not to my knowledge, no. But that's a good question.
It's not.
Not through that particular area that I believe.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Right.
Just something that
Yes.
could be a bit of an issue, but I mean, I know it's your land, so
It will be the First Nations land and it's private land, so I mean, I wasn't aware of anything. And so just a few core components. We talked about the connection point being across Crown land to the 115 kV line, the buffer around the cemetery, which Jody requested, which is absolutely not a problem, and the maintenance and operations. So the financial model is very strict in regards to ensuring that there's maintenance and operations and asset management for the project allocated throughout the finance. And that's been thoroughly presented to Lac Seul First Nation, so they understand what the returns are on the project post costs. The goal is to support the community in providing some of this preventative maintenance and operations. But often there will be also contracts like snow removal, vegetation management, to ensure that the project is operating at its peak performance, because you do get paid for as much as you produce. So we will ensure that the project is maintained, and that I think one core component is a 20-year contract that you have with the IESO. Okay. This outlines just so there's not quick, this is the division of work we have negotiated or working with the First Nation on in regards to between Jazz and Lac Seul, us supporting on the development, ensuring that there's financing, engineering, and construction, and our responsibility is also to help develop their workforce as well. So do some capacity building within continue to do the capacity building that we've been doing. And obviously there's a relationship between the municipality and the First Nation as well. That I think there's a consistent message that they're looking to strengthen that as well. Benefits, this is really going to support the grid in Ontario, creating generation. There are incentives to make sure that there's generation being created in the north. So they have really focused on, I mean, the north is a hot spot right now for many different reasons. But they are supporting on ensuring that there's generation and storage. So there's some battery projects going on. There's another stream that you can put battery projects in the north as well. It creates economic development and jobs across the region. The build is about 12 months. It's not the development and the connection application with Hydro One is the longest. It's like 18 to 24 months. The actual construction, if you do it at the right time of year, is only like 8 to 12 months, depending on what your foundations look like and that sort of thing. We're looking at generational prosperity for Lac Seul First Nation, and that's one of the core elements of why Jazz partners with First Nations to help them create projects. You're looking at a 20-year project with the option that the project could get extended to. The IESO is currently extending current assets within Ontario, so both wind, solar, hydro, because they need generation and energy. And then enhance regional collaboration along with looking at clean energy goals for the community. This is, I alluded it to a little bit in regards to the timeline. So looking at August, there's a registration that's required, and then October, they put their bid in as the community. They're approved in April of 2026, and development is going to occur throughout 2026 through into 2028. And you would look at construction starting in spring, more than likely, of 2028, and building and hopefully connecting the project by late 2029. That is all she wrote for me. If there's any questions that you may have. Yes.
Yeah, just, you mentioned the cemetery. Is that the Hudson Cemetery?
Yes.
Yeah. Because the line would be going past through Hudson, or the power line is going.
Do you mind bringing up that? Is it possible to bring up the layout there?
It has to go by the Hudson Cemetery, is that?
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
It'll be over this way.
See where
You see the,
That line there, that's the existing power line.
you see the,
That line there, that's the existing power line. They're going.
So we'll be connecting, here's the transmission line where I'm moving the arrow, I believe.
yeah, you're correct.
that just, why do they need a resolution from the council since it's a First Nations owned and initiated project?
It is still in your jurisdiction. So this project is still sitting in Sioux Lookout's jurisdiction. So when the application goes in October, you're absolutely right. First Nation
Have
land.
any jurisdiction, it's the border of,
No, this still lies in your like it's still within your boundaries.
Just a question for the CIO, would we, given the quasi light industrial use of this, is there a zoning bylaw change, or does the zoning that was there for the mill cover what this was? So, but we do cover zoning for development, so, but no zoning bylaw change required for this.
No, the lands I believe are already zoned industrial.
Yes, so 3 Mayor Lawrence, the lands are zones industrial and waste disposal actually, so the one area was used as a kind of tree and debris from the mill site would be kind of landfill in the one area to the left, and the other side was actually a site of a chipping operation. A large chipper there, lots of wood storage. So the land there's already cleared and in essence ready to go. In fact, it's a good reuse of the former kind of landfill area over there. And the zoning bylaws can't restrict the installation of solar panels.
Well, Councilor Van Breden.
Sorry, I didn't think that you could see me when the PowerPoint was on. I just had
Oh,
a question.
sorry.
No. It's fine. My only question about the trails is that looking at the map, I don't think this goes through Johnny Luke's trail, which I know that the town designated a couple years ago, back when the MNR was doing their forestry plan, as a designated trail. I can't see it here on the map. The map is kind of low quality, but just like to put it in the back of your head that Johnny Luke's trail does run around that area. And my other question is in the future, is there plans to do something with the former sawmill site north of the CN tracks?
Honestly, that's a question for the First Nation. I can't answer that.
Not really on the agenda tonight. That's it, Councilor Van Breden?
Yeah, just about the Johnny Luke's trail, and just to keep that in the back of your head. But thank you.
Did you say Luke's? Johnny Luke's?
Yeah, Johnny LUC, yeah, Johnny Luke's trail.
Okay.
I think that we must have a map of it, right? In the town?
Female ones, yes, I think we could identify it on a map. Yes, but we could share that with you, Grace.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further, Council? Then on behalf of Council, thank you very much. We don't make decisions on delegations at the
Yeah.
go back as a staff report to Council in probably the next month, because you require it for October. So
Correct.
we'll see this in September.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Move along to the item 7.1. The council directs staff to submit a funding application to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation to support the creation of a one-year internship position dedicated to advancing community safety initiatives. Moved by Councilor Lego, seconded by Councilor Timpson, and start the discussion with Councilor Timpson.
Yeah, just clarifying, is the 19,872 coming out of this year's budget or next year's budget? Depending on whether we get the,
The younger ones, it would be next year's budget.
okay.
Anything else, Councilor Timpson?
No.
Anything further, Council, on this one? Councilor Van Breden.
Thank you. So my only question is that we do already have a community safety and well-being plan in task force. So what would this person do differently that the task force cannot do?
CIO.
Through Mayor Lawrence, so the task force has not been active in a meaningful way in multiple years. And so part of the coordinator's role will be to rejuvenate the stakeholders, and whether that's a task force or whether that's a committee or a working group or whatever the case may be, is really that sort of the crux of this is this has been an initiative that staff have been trying to implement, frankly, off the corner of several people's desks, and there hasn't been dedicated time and energy put into it. So this is our most cost-effective way to bring that level of coordination to advance the implementation of our community safety and wellbeing plan.
Councillor Constant.
Now, the person who would hold this position, would they be a social worker? Or what type of education would you be looking
Yeah, so there's a number of things we're looking for. I'll ask our strategic initiatives manager to elaborate.
The NOHSC program supports either new graduates or young adults that are transferring careers, and that's one of the backgrounds we would be looking for. Would be social work would be one of the options.
Anything further, council? Oh, just a question. The community safety and wellbeing plans were mandated by the province for all municipalities to do. And you can help me here. I know that I believe that the city of Kenora has hired a full-time community safety and wellbeing plan. What is it? Your coordinator. And I believe many other municipalities have as well. Is that correct? It's just because of the reasons that you've stated. It's just, and to my mind, the community safety and wellbeing plan is a really good venue avenue for us to implement many of the things we'd like to do to achieve some of our strategic initiatives. I think, Jen, would that be fair to say?
Through Mayor Lawrence, yes, that would be fair to say that this would be a good avenue for us to have better support and coordination for a number of initiatives to advance community well-being. There were a number of initiatives identified in the plan that I believe there are a number of agencies and towns would like to support, like doing more events to showcase the mental health supports that are available in the community, developing guides and resources so that residents understand all of the options available to them, hosting events and activities that are low barrier, easy access, like mental health walks and things like taking back your park barbecues, things like that, where you're just increasing presence in the community by bringing together police and health services. And it's just really difficult to have existing capacity for all of those types of initiatives to bring all of those groups together to get them off the ground.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Any further questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 7.2, the council directs staff to submit a funding application to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation to support the creation of a one-year internship position focused on advancing data-driven decision-making and supporting the municipality's digital transformation efforts to enhance efficiency. Moved by Councillor Timpson, second by Councillor Cassidy. Discussion starting with Councillor Constant.
I'm really not in favor of adding this position. We've sort of, Brian's done a lot of work to bring our positions into an affordable point. And I think that the position that we have already is very highly paid due to the workload. So for us to say the workload is too high and we need to pay another position doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I also believe that we have a consultant in this area as well. Is that not correct? So we have a consultant and a very high paid position due to, I think the comparable that we use for this position was someone that manages 5,000 computers and a staff of 1,000 people was the comparable to this position. And we have an FTE, 100 people and a limited number of computers. So I don't believe that we should be funding this position based on the fact that how high we funded the person who does this job right now.
Response to you.
So through Mayor Lawrence, part of the plan is to over the next 18 months is to phase out the consultant. Yeah, so we're trying to build that internal capacity so that we don't require the consultant anymore.
So then there would be actually no contribution from taxation, then we would already have the money built into the budget right now.
Yes, so
this would not be
presently, through your Mayor Lawrence, we're paying a consultant about 50,000 a year. Through the phasing out of that, that will free up those funds to support this position and whatever else may be required in the future.
So then what education would this person be required? Because my understanding was the reason we had the consultant is because we don't have the high level capacity. So we would have to have somebody with the equivalency education to the comparator of the other person that we're paying. That would be a network person and a specialist. Is that not correct?
No, the work that will happen is we have been building that capacity in-house so that we don't require the expertise of the specialist, so that we've built that capacity over the last few years in-house, and that's why we're able to discontinue that. So this would be a much lower level position.
Any further questions, Councillor Timpson?
Same as 7.1 comes out, the 19,000 comes out of the next year's budget. Okay, thank you.
Anything further, Council? All right, then call the vote. All in favor? Are you in favor, Councillor Rapida? No, against? No? Then that is defeated. That was 7.3. Rural Ontario Development Program application, sector-based housing. Is this mic going in and out? Is it
Yes.
imagination?
Yeah, it's-
I'm not sure why that is.
That's right.
Maybe the cord at the back, try that. No, this cord right here.
The council directs staff to submit a funding application to the Rural Ontario Development Program to support the completion of a sector-based housing needs assessment. Moved by Councillor Cassidy, seconded by Councillor Timpson. Discussion starting with Councillor Cassidy. No, Councillor JC, sorry. I'm sure.
Again, I'm not really in favor of this. I think that we've done a lot of studies over the last year. So I actually went back and looked, and in the last year, we've been involved in either approving or receiving 6 studies plus the Cedar-based study. So I think that this is a study, if we wanted to do it in-house, we probably could. I think we've done a lot of studies and we haven't really acted on some of the studies. So I think we need to maybe rethink doing some of the studies. You know, I think we need to slow down on the studies and, you know, this is a lot of money to spend. And some of these studies are just sitting on bookshelves. So I'm really not in favor of doing another study.
Council. So Councillor Van Breda.
For the same reasons why I'm also not in favor of this, just because I'm just confused how is spending $50,000 on this study going to help build housing when, like, on the website we already have the affordable housing strategy of the 2025 to 2030. We have the community improvement plan. We also have the community safety and well-being plan, which also talks about the lack of housing. So how will spending $50,000 on a study give us the upper edge to build housing when we already passed a housing strategy for the next 5 years?
So,
Yeah, I'll take that.
my council, just keep your Councillor, did you have your hand up, Councillor Timpson?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I support this because I think the workforce has changed. The transitional nature of workers coming and going has changed. I think that we need to have a housing needs assessment that is up to date to the reality of our workforce here. And that's one of the things that this is addressing. Whether we need to have just more temporary apartment types or whether we need more residential housing neighborhoods. I think we have to be asking those questions, because I think what we've done before in some of this is not up to date on the realities of of our community now.
Thank you. Councilor Cassidy.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Timpson's statements too. I think that the market has changed considerably. I just with talking to some people that there's a feeling out there that the apartment there's a lot of apartments going up now, and that the pool probably for people for just apartments or that are looking is kind of stagnant. And there's a different demand, I think, for different types of housing. So as the report kind of states about how it would have some actual data to quantify that so that potential developers can use that to leverage capital from loaning institutions, I think that's an asset. And I think that's important to support the potential developers in the community if that information is available to them. And like it says, that to handle some of the risk that financial institutions have when issuing loans for substantial development. So if that's available to any of our local developers, I think that's a good thing, and it will be accessible to all of them. So I support this.
So when I saw this on the agenda, I was ecstatic. I thought this is wonderful. I have been through my role as mayor advocating for housing, but it struck me. I sort of turned. Believe it or not, I was thinking over the last couple of weeks, even though I was recovering. I had thought that advocating for housing. What is the actual need for housing? How can we target what we need? Where is the need? Who needs it? I think what business sectors, what public sectors, what type of housing. I think we could better advocate and better convince developers to develop housing if we had a report such as this that really was targeted and was recent data, as Councillor Timpson said. Sorry, Councillor Constable, I take exception to studies sitting on the shelf gathering dust, because in my day I did quite a few studies like this, and I know that the lot needs assessment study. It was on the shelf, but it was used. It was covered. It was informative. The housing needs assessment of the day back in 2000 or 2005, when it was done, was used. The Hudson redevelopment revitalization study continues to be used. It's used over a 10-year, 15-year period. So studies are used. They don't just collect dust. And this one I think it would be very informative for us, and very productive for advocacy and for garnering development. But I'll let the CAO or the staff to stick to it as well.
Thank you. Yes, the opportunity came up through the Rural Ontario Development Fund, and looking at the objectives of the program, they align really closely with the gap that we have. That, like you say, the regional housing strategy that was done by KDSB has been very well utilized by us. It's been very helpful to developers. It's helped us with attraction. It's helped us to guide projects. It's helped us with funding applications. But the problem was that just with the timing of when it was delivered, that it used 2016 data. So it was already kind of outdated when it came out. Now it's very outdated already. And in addition to that, just because it was done for the entire region and not just for Sioux Lookout, there really isn't that quantitative data around what types of housing that we need. So all they really did was do a regional survey asking people what kind of housing types they'd be interested in, which you can tell from the statistics that someone could answer and say, I think we need more townhouses, I think we need more apartments, and I think we need more single homes. And then we just have sort of a percentage and how many people are interested in that type of housing, which doesn't really give us good data on, that someone can take to the bank and say, there's a real need for apartments in Sioux Lookout. The other problem that we're seeing is that the reason why some developers are reluctant to invest in Northern Ontario is because it is harder to get capital here. So, for instance, one of the developers we're working with right now, they're trying to get funding through the CMHC. And if they were in an identified market like Toronto, there's a few different regions that are identified areas that CMHC covers, you can get access to 95% capital. and with hardly any verification. When you're in Northern Ontario, we're considered other. So they need a lot more demonstration of the need and the demand to reduce that risk in order to secure that capital. So this is something that they've been asking us for is, do we have this kind of data available to support their applications? So I believe that if we did, we could support the developments that are trying to move forward right now, some of our larger projects, as well as have a tool to support investment of additional developers.
Unfortunately, the CMHC data that's available, we're grouped into some kind of, I'm not sure what it's called, a census district. So the data that we get from CMHC is generalized to a huge area. It's the Kenora district or Kenora plus Rainy River, and it's not specific. And each municipality is very different. And KDSB study was, I think, in many ways, and correct me if I'm wrong, certainly we know there's a need for social housing and it numbers that need very well, but it doesn't get into parsing the details of the need in the other sector, in the say private sector housing. Is that right?
Correct. Not by housing type, and it also doesn't look at all at the specific sectors that we have here in the municipality. So when we look at economic development and what our workforce is telling us, it is the demand for labor that they're struggling with the most. They cannot fill jobs, and they can't fill jobs because of lack of housing. But in order for us to alleviate those pressures, we need to better understand what type of housing that they need. If we were to get a developer to build a number of apartments, assuming that the need is for newcomers who are single, who are, coming across by themselves and thinking that that's going to suffice, when really they want to bring their entire family and they need more housing, more, multiple bedroom housing, and that's what they need, then we're still going to be in that crisis point where we're not helping employers as quickly as we can. So part of this study would be focused in a completely different direction than the regional housing study was, in doing that kind of assessment with our major employers to make sure that we understand the housing types that are most in need right now.
Councilor Timpson and then Councilor Cassidy.
Yeah, I was gonna just to build on that. The major employers here who many of the businesses are relying on immigrant newcomers, and some of the businesses are buying up housing or renting housing and renting it to four individuals, and that then takes away from people who want to buy a house for their family. And I think we have to have that kind of information as to that, family houses are being taken up by people who would be better in a little bachelor apartment. Good. Anyway,
Yeah, I guess my question would be, would a study like this, the infrastructure funding we put forward for a couple of years ago, the country, I can't think of the title of it off the top of my head, but the federal one, would a study like this that we weren't successful in, would a study like this be beneficial to those types of applications for that the money to support our applications in the future?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, the Housing Accelerator Fund, if that's the program that we're talking about, required an updated housing needs assessment. So we were very fortunate, and actually KDSB had put forward that regional housing strategy in anticipation of the Housing Accelerator Fund, so that the small municipalities across Northwestern Ontario would be able to access that fund. So that is correct, that we would be ineligible if an opportunity like that arose if we didn't update that assessment.
Councilor Gosling.
I've been a landlord for many, many years, and I've always had large units, and I could advertise I had 1,500 square foot apartments, and if I advertised my apartment in 1 hour, I would have 100 people wanting the larger unit because they weren't 750 square feet, fourplexes. So we've had the need for that for a long time for families, and I've always had big families in my units. And that's always existed. But I talked to a developer the other day who did build a large family home, and he's renting it below cost. And people are shocked on how high the rent is. So no matter what the study is, no matter what the study says, we still have to convince people to build houses in a market where the rent can't pay the bills. So, but $50,000 is a lot of money, and that's sort of the concept of this study, is that it will get us to a point where we can get this housing and retain all these people, but it's not going to solve our housing problem. Our housing problem right now is that our labor to build houses is very high in Sioux Lookout. Our materials to build houses are very high in Sioux Lookout, and as a developer, it's very hard to make any money if you build large family homes, and that's why people are building 750-foot fourplexes, because it's affordable and you can make money doing it. And when you're asking people to get into the rental business, they're not doing it for charity. They're doing it to make money. And no study in the world is going to solve that problem, that right now you cannot afford to build large family homes to house large families and make money at it.
So I think the study could help, because if the study access things like the Rapid Housing Initiative from CMHC or other government programs, we get contributions to the cost of housing development through, might be through infrastructure and the Rapid Housing Initiative, and various lines where there was government assistance, and that assistance brings down the cost of housing in the end. So I'm sorry, I disagree. A study like this could help bring down the cost of housing, could access in this day and age where housing has always been an issue in Sioux Lookout, but now in this day and age, it's an issue across the country, and governments are reacting with programs. We need to have the data and the reports necessary to lever those programs to get to Sioux Lookout. So I think this study is very important.
Through your Lawrence, another thing to keep in mind is that the 100,000 is an estimate. That would be the cap, but we haven't put out the call for tenders yet. So we actually estimated this budget at 60 to 100. So it's possible that when we do the call for tenders, that the study wouldn't be 100,000. That would be the maximum that we would be anticipating. And then there's one other component that I don't think we've discussed at all, and that is why we're anticipating a bit of a larger study. It is in the report, but that we would be also looking at 1 to 2 municipal sites and looking at how we could develop a concept that aligns with some of the housing of greatest need and look at the feasibility behind that. So we know that we have this, land in Hudson, for instance, looking at the feasibility of that. If there is a way that we could further a concept that would make that more appealing to developers, because currently there's no interest in developing that land. And part of our interest around that is around Hudson revitalization and supporting that as well. And that is part of why this study would be anticipated to be on the larger end.
Sometimes you have to spend $1 to make $1, and in this case, I think we have to spend $1 to earn dollars in this way. Council, anything further? Staff? Okay, I will call the vote then on the item 7.3. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. That concludes the items requiring separate discussion. Then we'll move on to. Why don't you go ahead, CA? Thank you. So in the case, quick.
Certainly. Through Mayor Lawrence and members of council, the following bylaws are being presented for 3 readings and passing. Bylaw number 54-25, being the bylaw to authorize the mayor and the clerk to execute agreements and documents regarding the sale of the hereinafter described land by the Corporation of the Municipality of Sioux Lookout to 2730152 Ontario Inc. That's one of the Hillcrest lots. Bylaw number 55-25, being a bylaw to authorize the conveyance of certain hereinafter described land by the Corporation of the Municipality to 2730152 Ontario Inc. Bylaw number 56-25, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute agreements and documents regarding the sale of the hereinafter described land by the Corporation of the Municipality of Sioux Lookout to Opus 69 by the Limited DBA Woodmere Developments. That's the second lot in Hillcrest this evening. And then bylaw number 57-25, being a bylaw to authorize the conveyance of certain hereinafter described land by the Corporation of the Municipality of Sioux Lookout to Opus 69 Limited DBA Woodmere Developments. So yes, then the motion.
And that bylaws numbers 54-25, 55-25, 56-25, and 57-25 be read at first, second, third time and passed. Moved by Councilor Lego, seconded by Councilor Cassidy. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. No notice of motion or outside resolutions. So we come to the councilor reports, and I'll start with Councilor Anshina. No, I'm just kidding. This Councilor Anshina, there's this item on the agenda as we go around the table, councilors report on the activities they've done since the last regular council meeting directly related to their role as councilor. Not that you went to a Christmas party for somebody else, but you were as councilor. But this time you're off the hook. Next month we expect a full and rigorous report. Councilor Costa.
Counselor Anshtab and myself both actually participated in the Bannock Bake Off, which we won the Silver Spoon for the second year in a row. And Dory Chisel helped us, and Ted Bingus and the staff. And I think it was very important for us to have the staff there. It was great for the staff. We really enjoyed them. They played a really important role, and it was fantastic. So thank you, Brian, for letting us have the staff, and the staff that participated were fantastic. We really enjoyed it. And I also, Councillor Van Breed and myself did Rocks for Action at the Hudson Street Fair, which again was a very wonderful event. We had a lot of people come back from the year before, and we had Tom Chisel as our elder, and he sort of did it a little bit differently than last year. We just did a presentation at the beginning, but because we didn't have people were more flowing because there's lots of other stuff going on last year, it was just our event. So he just continued to talk to people throughout the day, and he did take one of the members on a herbal walk, and I was able to participate with that as well. So it was lovely. And he knew a lot of history of Hudson, which was very interesting. And so it was a very interesting day. I also was able to, I got the museum artifacts from the rec center, and I was able to get them into the cabinet. And I believe the airport staff are hanging our signs because we got our pop-up banner. That was part of the pop-up banner project last year, but we were waiting until we had more things at the museum. So we did that one. And there's also signs now saying that it's part of this Lookout Municipal Museum collection. So, and the two cabinets look really good, so it's good. Our TRC meeting has been canceled for the second time due to lack of quorum, which I'm kind of upset about, but we'll talk about that. And then I attended a special council meeting regarding strategic planning.
Thank you, Councilor. Yes.
I haven't been too busy. I think I've done a couple of meetings with resident physicians and new resident physicians, and that's about it for me. Or, you know, we did have a meeting, library board meeting today. That was about it.
I forgot.
Councilor Costa.
Sorry. I did want to say, like, congratulations to every one of us involved in the Blueberry. The Blueberry Festival was so well attended, and the events were just so well done this year. And everyone involved, like, if you ever want to see the true spirit of Sioux, show up to the Blueberry Festival, because every single event was just fantastic. Like it seemed like the scale of things just was up one little bit this year. And like I know every year we say it was the best and the biggest, but it was so well attended this year. Events were just packed. And I know there was a couple of new events, and even the people who organized those events, this is 10 times better than I even envisioned. So like it was just the Blueberry Festival. Congratulations to the committee, to the organizers, everyone. It was a fantastic job.
Thank you, Councilor Van Breda.
Thank you very much. Attended the closed council meeting on the 22nd of July. Attended the food bank groundbreaking with Mayor Doug Lawrence, and all the other volunteers for the food bank. Really excited for that to come up. I think that because right now the food bank is on the back alley of 3rd Street, so this would be a much bigger place, more room for activities, more room to really do good in Sioux Lookout. And then, yeah, we had the 43rd Blueberry Festival, which was a lot of work got into it. Thank you, Councilor Costco, for your words. Next year, I'll be the board chair. I'm a little nervous, but I think it'll go. I mean, like famous last words. I think it'll go good. But on the opening ceremonies in my 3 days of acting mayor, I got to speak on behalf of mayor and council for the opening of the ceremonies. It went really well. Spoke to MPP Somamakwa, MP Eric as well. Had some good times, good talks and everything. And then the Bannock Bake Off was right after. And congrats on the TRC committee for winning second place for the second year in a row. And again, there is a really, really tight race. There was only 1.5 points between the first place and the second place. So it was really, really well done. And then we also did the Rockstar Action Hudson, part of the Hudson Block Party. That went really well. And then, yeah, I just want to say sorry that I can't be there in person. Right now I'm in Thunder Bay heading to the AMO conference a few days earlier. I'm meeting with some Northwestern Ontario councillors on the weekend. I think Brian is coming up on Saturday, I believe. And yeah,
We'll
I
report
mean,
on that next month, Councillor Van Reeden. This is the month that's gone, not the months to
okay.
come.
Well, I'm excited for the AMO conference and I can't wait to talk about it, what we've accomplished. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson.
Light few weeks for me, the special council meeting, and yeah, just taking in some of the Blueberry Festival events, and I concur, it was very well done this year. A lot of great events and a lot of good community spirit, which was nice to see.
Thank you. Councillor David.
And same, just the one council, the special council meeting.
So as you can have, you get a pass.
Pass.
Had KDSP board meeting after the last regular council meeting. Had a meeting with prospective councillor Andrew Canet, now Councillor Andrew Canet, she agreed to come. We had the council meeting regarding strategic planning. I attended over to Red Lake to represent the municipality at the invitation of Mayor Fred Mota to represent Sioux for their 100th anniversary, and a special roundtable with Minister. Oh my goodness. With the provincial minister related to economic development. I'm trying to, his name has escaped me now, it's terrible. But with the minister of related to economic development, and he had wanted input from regional municipalities, so the mayors of Kenora, Nation, Dryden, Red Lake, Air Falls, and Sioux were there. And we let him know about our economic development concerns. And I did it, I think, an article in the newspaper, which you may have seen, providing a summary of that. Attended on behalf of the municipality food bank groundbreaking in the Boreal subdivision. Regular monthly meeting with NP Eric Milo. Had a meeting with Inspector Christ and the nurse for the mobile crisis response team, just to get a good feel for what they do and provide information for some of our advocacy notes. I said goodbye to our executive assistant, Tiffany Thompson, who has moved with her family to Brandon last month. So Tiffany finished on July 31st, and I wished her well on behalf of council. Interviews with the CBC and TV News. I think that was about the beer store closure, and the other one was about the human trafficking initiative that we're undertaking. Executive committee meetings with the Northwestern Health Unit, and yesterday the CAO and I took part in a follow-up to the AMO Health Survey that had been sent out to all municipalities, and they targeted a number of municipalities throughout the province to get pre-survey feedback and post-survey feedback, and we were one of them. And that survey, the results will be, I think we asked that they'll be available in October of this year, I think it was. Looking forward to that. The focus was on, I think, what municipalities do in healthcare, what they should do, what the cost of doing what they do is, and what role does the municipality play, should the municipality play in healthcare, which is a one-word answer, actually, for us. That's it. So we now have a closed session. Need a motion, the council moves into closed session at 6:37 PM. Discuss matters of general nature as noted below, subject matter relating to personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal and local board employees, per Municipal Act 2001 as amended, section 239, 2B, and one item, appointments to council boards, commissions, and committees, members. Moved by Councilor Timpson, seconded by Councilor Daigle. All in favor? Carried. We're now moving into closed session, and I'll call the meeting to Oh, you're in training, okay.
Your
Oh,
I've been here for 11
responsibility, okay?
I've been here 11 years and I still need training. Or I'm hoping, be trained. The council. Number 58-25. Being violent to confirm the proceedings.
Oh, sorry, Mayor Lawrence, just.
Yes,
item number 15.
yes, thank you.
Thank you. So the resolution arising from closed session, council's consideration is as follows. The council approves Schedule A, bylaw number 68-22, being bylaw to make appointments to various boards, commissions, and committees by adding Elvis Trout, Black Soul First Nation Councillor, to the Sioux Lookout Municipal Truth and Reconciliation Committee. And further, that council approves amending Schedule A to bylaw number 68-22, being bylaw to make appointments to various boards, commissions, and committees by removing Councillor Van Breda from the Sioux Lookout Municipal Truth and Reconciliation Committee and appointing Councillor Darlene Hinchett. And further, the council approves amending Schedule A to bylaw number 68-22, being a bylaw to make appointments to various boards, commissions, and committees by removing Mayor Lawrence from the Sioux Lookout OPP Detachment Board and appointing Councillor Darlene Hinchett.
Moved by. So Council, second by Council Timpson, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Ready to go to confirmatory bylaw? That bylaw number 58-25, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the municipality of Sioux Lookout, August 13th, 2025, resident council meeting be read first, second, and third time in cast. Moved by Councilor Timpson, second by Councilor Nagel, all in favor? Carried, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.